You're sitting across from someone who holds your future in their hands. The lights are low, the air feels thick, and their eyes lock onto yours like a predator that already knows it's won. They smile that easy, friendly smile and lean forward just a fraction. Then they ask it, the question that feels innocent, almost casual. But the second it leaves their lips, something inside you shifts. Your pulse quickens, your mind races, and before you know it, you're handing them the keys to your entire kingdom. Most people answer. Most people lose. Marcus didn't know that yet. He was 29, sharp as a blade, and climbing the ranks at Apex Dynamics like a man possessed. 6 months earlier, he had been just another mid-level strategist, buried in spreadsheets. Now, the board was watching him. Whispers followed him down the marble corridors. That kid's going places. He believed it too, until the night everything changed. It was after midnight in the executive lounge on the 47th floor. Rain hammered the glass walls overlooking the city. The CEO, Elena Voss, had asked him to stay behind for one last conversation. She poured 2 glasses of something expensive and slid one across the table. "Marcus," she said softly, "tell me, what do you really want?" The question hung there, simple and deadly. He almost answered, almost spilled the dream he had carried since college, the one about running the company himself one day. But something stopped him. A flicker in her eyes, a predator's patience. He smiled instead, shrugged, and turned the question back on her. That single refusal was the first time he tasted real power. What Marcus didn't know was that he had just brushed against the first of Machiavelli's 5 forbidden questions, the ones that, if answered honestly, strip you naked in the arena of psychological warfare. These aren't polite questions. They are traps disguised as conversation. And the man who wrote the original playbook on power, Niccolo Machiavelli himself, understood something brutal 400 years ago that most of us still refuse to accept. The moment you answer them truthfully, you surrender control. Tonight, I'm going to take you inside Marcus's world. Not as a lecture, not as a list, as a story that will crawl under your skin and refuse to leave. Because by the time this ends, you will have lived through every one of those 5 questions with him. You will feel the knife edge of each trap. You will watch him bleed, then rise. And when the final confrontation comes, when all 5 questions are hurled at him at once, you will be sitting on the edge of your seat, heart pounding, knowing exactly what he must do to win. Because this isn't just Marcus's story. It's yours. Let's begin where it really started for him, 3 weeks before that rainy night on the 47th floor. Marcus had just closed a deal that saved the company $43 million. Champagne corks popped, people clapped him on the back. But in the corner of the room stood a man no one else seemed to notice. Late 60s, silver hair cropped close, wearing a suit that cost more than most people's cars. His name was Victor Kane, former advisor to 3 presidents, 2 kings, and 1 tech billionaire who had mysteriously disappeared from public life.
Victor didn't clap. He just watched Marcus with the quiet amusement of a man who had already seen the movie and knew how it ended. Later that night, Victor cornered him near the elevators. "You handled the applause well," Victor said, voice low. "But the real test comes when they stop clapping and start asking." Marcus laughed. "What's that supposed to mean?" Victor didn't smile. "There are 5 questions, Marcus. Answer any one of them truthfully, and you hand your opponent the map to your destruction. refuse them correctly, and you become untouchable. Machiavelli knew them. The Medici family lived by them. Every emperor, every CEO, every person who has ever held real power has either mastered them or been destroyed by them. Marcus thought the old man was dramatic. He was wrong. Victor handed him a plain black card with nothing on it but a phone number and the words, "When you're ready to stop bleeding." Marcus pocketed it and forgot about it until the first question came for him. It happened 2 days later in the glass conference room on the 32nd floor. The head of a rival division, a slick operator named Richard Lang, had called an emergency alignment meeting. Only 4 people in the room: Lang, 2 of his loyalists, and Marcus. The projector showed charts that painted Marcus's recent success as lucky rather than brilliant. Lang smiled like a shark. "Marcus," he said, voice warm, almost concerned, "we're all friends here. So tell me honestly, what are you really afraid of? What keeps you up at night?" Question number 1. The trap was perfect, beautifully disguised as vulnerability sharing, the kind of thing weak leaders call building trust. But Marcus felt the hook sink in. If he admitted fear of failure, Lang would weaponize it in every future meeting. If he said he feared being exposed as inexperienced, the rumor mill would spin for months. If he gave any real answer, he would hand Lang the emotional lever to yank whenever he needed Marcus off balance. Marcus felt his mouth open. The honest words were right there. "I'm terrified of becoming irrelevant, of waking up one day and realizing I peaked too early." But Victor's voice echoed in his head, even though they had only spoken once. "The moment you answer, you're theirs." So Marcus did something dangerous. He laughed. A short, genuine-sounding laugh. Then he leaned forward, looked Lang dead in the eyes, and said, "Richard, I'm afraid of exactly what you're afraid of. That one day someone smarter will walk through that door and make us both look like yesterday's news. The difference is, I'm ready for him. Are you?" The room went still. Lang's smile faltered for half a second. He had expected confession. He got a mirror thrown back at him. The meeting ended early. Marcus walked out with his power intact. That night, he called the number on the black card. Victor answered on the first ring. "Took you longer than most," he said. "Come to the rooftop garden at the old library. Midnight. Come alone." The city lights glittered.
"You dodged the first one," Victor said without preamble. "Most people don't. They spill their fears like it's therapy. And the moment they do, their opponent owns their emotions. Machiavelli wrote it plain. Men are so simple and so much inclined to obey immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims. Fear is the ultimate immediate need. Answer that question, and you become predictable, controllable, breakable." Victor flicked the cigarette over the edge. There were 5 such questions, 5 doors into your mind. Tonight, I opened the first one properly. The rest will come when you're ready to bleed a little more. He told Marcus the full law behind question 1. Never answer what you fear. Not to colleagues, not to lovers, not even to yourself out loud if someone might hear. Because the answer becomes a weapon the second it leaves your lips. Instead, reflect the question like a mirror. Make them reveal their own fear. Or deflect with humor so sharp it cuts. Or simply say, "The only thing I fear is not recognizing the trap when it's set for me." Then smile like you already see theirs. Marcus felt the shift inside him, like a door he had never noticed suddenly swinging open. He went home that night and replayed the conference room scene 100 times. He had survived. Barely. But survival wasn't enough anymore. He wanted mastery. The second question found him faster than he expected.
It came during a late-night strategy session with Elena Voss herself. The CEO had taken a personal interest in him after the big deal. She was brilliant, ruthless, and beautiful in the way that makes people forget she could end careers with a single email. They were alone in her office, city lights sprawling below like a kingdom waiting to be claimed. She poured wine, sat close enough that he could smell her perfume. Then she asked, voice soft and intimate, "Marcus, what do you want? Not the company line, not the safe answer. What do you really want?"
Question number 2. This one was subtler, more seductive. It didn't ask for weakness. It asked for desire. And desire is even more dangerous than fear. Because once someone knows exactly what you hunger for, they can dangle it, withhold it, or poison it. Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He advised princes never to reveal their true ambitions. Show the world what you want them to see. Keep the real hunger locked behind iron. Marcus felt the pull. He wanted to tell her everything. The corner office, the power, the legacy, the fear that he might never be enough. Instead, he remembered the rooftop garden and Victor's warning. Desire revealed is desire surrendered. He took a slow sip of wine, let the silence stretch just long enough to make her lean in, then answered, "What I want, Elena, is to watch this company become something no one thought possible. And I want to do it standing right beside the person who makes it happen." He looked at her with perfect sincerity. Whoever that person turns out to be.
He had given her nothing and everything at once. Ambition without specifics. Loyalty without commitment. She smiled, but her eyes narrowed slightly. The look of a hunter whose prey had slipped the snare. Victor was waiting when Marcus called at 2 a.m. "You handled the second one like a natural," the old man said. "Most men would have poured their souls out the moment a powerful woman asked them what they wanted. They would have handed her the blueprint to their manipulation. But you reflected it. Good. That's law too. Never name your true desire. Name the version that serves the moment. The real one stays buried." Victor met him again the next night, this time in an abandoned warehouse district where old shipping containers had been turned into an underground fight club for the city's elite. They watched 2 men in suits beat each other bloody inside a chain-link cage while billionaires placed bets.
Power isn't won in boardrooms, Victor said during a lull. It's won in moments like this, when someone tries to drag the real you into the light. The second question is the most seductive trap because it feels like connection. Answering it honestly is how empires fall from within. Keep your wants vague, shifting, larger than life. Let them chase shadows while you move in silence. Marcus was starting to see the pattern. Every question was a scalpel designed to cut away your armor, and the world was full of people sharpening those scalpels every single day. The third question arrived disguised as friendship. It came from his oldest colleague, Sarah Chen, the one person he had trusted since his first day at the company. They were grabbing late-night ramen after a brutal deadline. Sarah had always been the voice of reason, the one who warned him when politics got too dirty. Tonight, she looked tired, almost vulnerable. "Marcus," she said, stirring her bowl, "be honest with me. Who do you actually trust around here? I mean really trust. No bullshit." Question number 3. This one was the loyalty probe, the one that maps your alliances. Answer it, and you hand over the entire network you depend on. Machiavelli's princes never revealed their inner circle. They let others guess, speculate, and waste energy on false targets. Reveal your true allies, and suddenly those allies become targets. Your support system becomes a list of vulnerabilities. Marcus felt the old instinct to confide.
Sarah had saved him more than once, but Victor's voice was louder now. Trust is the currency of the weak. The strong create the illusion of trust while keeping their real alliances invisible. He set down his chopsticks. Sarah, I trust the people who prove it when it costs them something. Right now, that list is shorter than I'd like, but I'm watching, and I hope you're on it. He smiled warmly. You always have been. He had answered without answering. Sarah nodded, but something in her eyes changed. She had come fishing for intel. She left with nothing but a mirror.
Victor laughed when Marcus told him, You're learning faster than most. Law 3, never map your alliances. The moment you name names, you paint targets on their backs, and yours. Keep your circle a rumor. Let them wonder. Let them fear. Fear keeps people loyal longer than friendship ever could. By now, Marcus was changing. Meetings felt different. People's words landed differently. He caught the hooks before they sank. He saw the questions coming from 3 sentences away. But the 4th question was waiting in the place he least expected, inside his own ambition. It happened during a private dinner with the chairman of the board, an old lion named Harlan Graves, who had survived 4 recessions and 3 divorces. Graves had taken Marcus under his wing, or so it seemed. They were at a private club, with no name on the door, steaks the size of hubcaps, wine older than both of them combined. Graves set his knife down and looked at Marcus with something almost like paternal warmth. Son, I've been where you are. This one was the soul trap, the one that asks you to define your own fulfillment. Answer it, and you reveal the finish line you're running toward. Once someone knows where your happiness lives, they can move it, block it, or destroy it. Machiavelli understood that the happiest man is the one whose happiness cannot be defined by others, the man who keeps his inner compass hidden. Marcus almost slipped. The words were right there. I want to wake up every day knowing I built something that lasts, something my father never could. But he caught himself. He thought of Victor's warning from their last meeting in the rain. Happiness named is happiness controlled. Keep it vague. Keep it evolving. Never let them draw the map to your joy. He looked Graves in the eye and said, Happiness, for me, is the moment when the work becomes bigger than the man doing it. When the when the idea outlives everyone in this room. That's enough for me. Graves studied him for a long moment, then raised his glass. Dangerous answer, Marcus. Most men want simpler things. Money, respect, revenge. You want legacy. That makes you either very wise or very dangerous. Marcus smiled and said nothing. Inside, he felt the power surge. He had given the man a noble-sounding nothing. Victor was waiting outside the club when Marcus left, leaning against a black car like a ghost. You're 3 for 3, he said. Most people never make it past the second. Law 4. Never define your happiness. The moment you do, they know exactly where to strike to break you. Keep your joy private, shifting, impossible to pin down. Become the man who is happy in ways they cannot understand. That is true freedom. Only one question remained. The 5th. The deadliest.
Victor wouldn't tell him what it was. Not yet. You'll know it when it comes, he said. And when it does, everything you've learned will either save you or watch you burn. The final question doesn't just ask for information. It asks for your soul. Marcus waited. The days blurred into strategy sessions, power plays, late nights. He dodged smaller traps now with ease. People started calling him untouchable. Elena Voss watched him with new respect. Richard Lang avoided him in hallways.
Sarah Chen grew quieter, more careful around him. Then the boardroom showdown arrived. It was supposed to be a routine quarterly review. Instead, it became an ambush. All the major players were there: Elena, Richard, Sarah, Harlan Graves, and 3 external investors who smelled blood in the water. The numbers were strong, but the narrative had shifted. Someone had leaked internal documents suggesting Marcus had cut corners. The room turned on him like a pack that had suddenly remembered he was still the youngest in the room.
Elena spoke first, voice calm but edged.
Marcus, we need transparency here. How far are you willing to go to protect this company? Really. No corporate speak. How far? Question number 5. The final trap. The one that forces you to reveal your limits, or admit you have none. The one that asks you to draw the line in the sand and then dares you to cross it. Answer it honestly, and they own your boundaries. They know exactly how much pressure to apply before you break. Machiavelli's ultimate law of power. Never reveal your limits. The man without visible limits is the man no one can stop. The room waited. Cameras might as well have been rolling. This was the moment that would define the rest of his career. Marcus felt every lesson Victor had taught him rise to the surface. He felt the weight of the first 4 questions he had refused to answer. He felt the power of silence, of reflection, of mystery. He stood up slowly, looked around the table at every face. Then he smiled the same calm smile Victor had worn on the rooftop that first night.
"How far am I willing to go?" he repeated, voice steady. "As far as the company needs me to go. And maybe a step further. But the real question, Elena, the one we should all be asking ourselves tonight, is how far are each of you willing to go to stand behind the man who just saved us $43 million while the rest of the industry bled red? Because I'm already there. The question is, are you?" He let the silence do the rest. No confession, no boundary drawn, no soul laid bare. Just a mirror thrown back at all of them at once. All 5 questions, deflected in a single move. The room shifted. Investors exchanged glances. Elena's expression changed from predator to something closer to respect. Richard looked suddenly small. Sarah's eyes widened with something like awe. Marcus sat down. The meeting continued, but the power in the room had changed hands without a single raised voice.
Later that night, on the same rooftop garden where it all began, Victor was waiting with 2 glasses and a bottle of something that looked older than the city itself. "You answered the 5th without answering it," he said. "Most men never live to see that moment. They break on the first question and spend the rest of their lives wondering why they keep losing. You became the game." Marcus took the glass. "So, that's it? All 5? Victor nodded. Machiavelli never wrote them down as a list. He lived them. He watched popes and princes destroy themselves by answering the wrong questions. He watched the wise survive by saying everything and nothing at the same time. Those 5 questions are the hidden architecture of every power struggle you will ever face. Master the art of refusing them, and the world stops being able to control you. You become the one who sets the terms." He raised his glass. "To the man who learned to keep his mind his own." Marcus drank. The city lights stretched out below them like a chessboard, waiting for the next move. He felt lighter than he had in years, not because he had won a battle, but because he finally understood the war. And somewhere, in offices and bedrooms and quiet conversations across the world, people just like you are being asked those same 5 questions right now.
What do you fear? What do you want? Who do you trust? What would make you happy? How far are you willing to go? Most will answer. Most will lose.
But not you. Not anymore. Because now you've lived the story with Marcus. You've felt every trap close around him. You've watched him refuse, reflect, and rise. You've seen what it costs to keep your power. And you've seen what it feels like when you finally own it. The next time someone leans in, smiles that easy smile, and asks you one of the 5, you'll remember this night. You'll feel the old instinct to spill your soul. And then you'll smile back, turn the question around, and watch them hand you the keys to their kingdom instead. Because that's how real power works. Not by answering, but by never needing to.
And if you're still watching, if your heart is still racing and you're already thinking about the next conversation you're going to have tomorrow, then you understand something most people never will. The game was never about the answers. It was always about who controls the questions. Now go out there, play it better. And whatever you do, never answer these 5 questions.